was why is Joe Biden, why is this administration, why is the White House never fact-checked when it comes to posts and the claims that they make? So, folks, let me ask you a question. What happens when you make a claim that not only can't be substantiated, but in fact is just silly at its face value? When you just look at it and you're like, this is dumb. You get to keep on being president. That's what you get. Last week, the White House posted a graph that made the bold and supercilious claim that more jobs have been created under Joe Biden than under any other president in history. Now, I don't even need to get into the facts, although I will. For you already start rolling your eyes. I know, I can feel it. You're out there slapping your foreheads, heaving heavy sighs, and mimicking putting a gun in your mouth, and you know it. And why? Because you recognize what's really going on here, which is spin by the administration. And here's the thing. Most administrations spin things to one degree or another. You're almost never going to hear a president come out and give a speech about what a terrible job he's done over the course of his term. Everyone wants to be liked because everyone wants to be reelected and reappointed. And, of course, reimbursed for their troubles. But here's the thing. This graph, okay? Even the Washington Post fact-checked Glenn Kessler, who's no friend of conservatives. He had to come out and say it. He wrote, a huge problem with this apples and oranges chart. It compares monthly job growth of 4 and 8 year terms with just 1 year of Biden. Now, I wonder, does that even make sense to you? Does that resonate with you? Do you understand what they're doing? Of course, I think you do, because you've got more than one brain cell floating around in your head. This goes beyond spin. Why use a fair comparison of year to year when you could obfuscate the truth and pull the knuckle-dragging non-thinkers who support you right along behind you? Now, this goes to the very sort of thing that George Orwell described in the book 1984, where you, the citizen, were required to not only speak the way the party wanted you to, but in fact, you had to think the way the party wanted you to as well. And here's a cute little fact about Orwell. He wasn't just pulling all that stuff out of his imagination. That was how Stalin was doing things over in the Soviet Union at that point in time. Look, the job creation under this president, or lack thereof, speaks for itself. It's not too hard to lick your finger, stick it in the wind, and come to the realization that this dude not only isn't doing a good job as our leader, but in fact is probably incapable of doing so in any condition. Now, you know what I'd respect is a leader who would come out and say, I haven't done the best job this past year of creating new jobs, and that's got me thinking maybe I need to change my approach. But that's not going to happen in our lifetimes, folks, ever. Now, if you ask me, things like this serve primarily as excellent wake-up calls to those of us who might be inclined to just doze off on the job from time to time. Remember what I said, you got to read the fine print. You need to be watching for things like this because they'll try to slip them in as if they're real, and they'll do it as often as they can. And hey, maybe you won't believe it, but your neighbor might. Your relatives might. Your kids might. We can't let history be rewritten like this, especially in real time with a graph. It's up to you and me to call out the BS when we see it. So, White House under the Biden administration, here's me making the effort to stay awake through all the news cycle, calling you out. It's a bunch of garbage, it's a bunch of BS, and you know it. I couldn't believe when I saw this graph. I shared it, and I said, why doesn't the White House get fact-checked?